Welcome to the Continuous Revenue Podcast, where the most successful and influential marketers in the world will be sharing their lessons and insights about a topic that is on the front of every chief executive's mind. And that's how to drive revenue, profitable revenue and growth for their organization at scale and speed with high efficiency and high effectiveness. I'm Russell Kern, and along with my host and producer, Elliot Dennis, we're here to take you on the journey to explain about continuous revenue marketing. We felt that at the beginning of this podcast series, it would be important to explain the context, the history, and what continuous revenue marketing really means and why it's different from some of the other acronyms in the industry.
Yeah, Russell, I agree with you that when you look at the term continuous revenue marketing, there's a lot of context and background to be shared to help set the stage for our many guests and future topics to come. So how did you determine the phrase continuous revenue marketing was the right North Star for marketers today? And why do you feel it's such an important concept now?
So, Elliot, it came about over a long period of time. It came about as part of trying to understand what was happening in the world as the pandemic was going on. It came from research about what really matters to CMOs and CEOs, especially from a marketing perspective. And when it all came down to it is, what do they really want? What they want is their marketing investments to produce revenue. And we need revenue to happen all the time. And so when you take the term continuous revenue marketing and you start to dissect it and break it apart, what we came to was continuous revenue is not a novel concept. Continuous revenue is the gas, the fuel that drives business. It's been around for centuries. However, when you layer on the word marketing, our marketer to it all, we've now transformed it into new processes, new methodologies that are fueled by new technologies that take us back to an era of how commerce has been transformed for centuries.
Russell, that's fascinating, but centuries ago, really? Why don't you provide some context for that?
You know, I'm sort of a little bit of a history buff. I'm definitely a heavy marketing history buff. But when you think about commerce and the evolution of commerce, let's just go back 100 years. What we do know is that the blacksmith knew the farmer and what was necessary for his horse. We knew the general store owner knew what their neighbors needed. And that when you would enter one of these stores in a small town, let's say, the proprietor knew who you were, they knew your family, they knew what you were growing or how you lived your life. They were able to have easy conversation with you. And in the end, there was a wonderful value exchange between service, money, goods, and relationship, a positive relationship. But then as we fast forward, we came into this industrial era of mass marketing and mass product, and the world changed and the small town became modern city, big suburbia, and we lost the humanness. And for the last, since 1970, so I think that's now 40 years, we as marketers have been seeking to, how can we repeat that experience? Because what we do know about human nature, and especially you and I as neuromarketers and neuroscientists know that people buy from trust and they buy with people they like. That's why decades and centuries ago, that's how commerce happened. And so it's important that marketers and salespeople are trying to get back to that in this industrial era. Now, I do want to take a second to tell a kind of a funny story because I got to go back 100 years just this last weekend. My wife and I had left the city when COVID, and we moved out to the country in LA. And we decided, oh, let's get some Western wear. We were watching the show called Heartland, which is all about ranching. And so we, of course, Google it. And what do we find is a Western wear store just a few miles away. And we drive to the Western wear store, and there it is. There's balloons and cupcakes. And we didn't know we arrived on their grand opening of their new location. And right as you walk in the store, there is Wild Bill Hickok. He's in his black hat with the white beard and white mustache and the paisley vest and the black bow tie. All we needed as we walked in the store was a shot of whiskey and the piano player piano, and we would have been in 1890. But he was the prop of the day of the Western wear store. But then this wonderful woman walked up, Lita, and she, with a big smile, said, "Hello, I'm so glad you're here. What brings you here?" And we told her our story. And, I started to ask her about retailing and how difficult retailing is. She says, "You understand." She goes, "I do this because I love my customers. And the moment you walk in, I know your hat size, your shirt size, your belt size, your boot size, your pant size. And I want to help you. And I love helping all my customers. That's why I called my store Work and Play." And an hour later, after talking about family and meeting new friends in the store, and my wife meeting a woman she's going to square dance with, of course, our bag was packed with merchandise and memories from that experience that we can't wait to go back and spend another hour and, of course, transact again. So that is the essence of all marketing. That is the essence of driving continuous revenue, which is that we need customers to trust us, to like us, and to continue to purchase. But how we do it in today's age with the web surrounding us has changed drastically. So maybe we want to talk about in the episode, or you'll have to guide me, the difference between CRM, the acronym, and continuous revenue marketing, the process.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with more with you, Russell. That's a fascinating story too, that kind of touches on so many different aspects of great direct shopper, customer, brand marketing. But what exactly is new with continuous revenue marketing?
So what's new about continuous revenue marketing is that we have a set of technologies that, of course, have been empowered by the internet that allow us to almost replicate the one-to-one relationship building that we had 100 years ago. And we're able to do it at scale and speed. Jeff Bezos was interviewed 2 decades ago by the Washington Post. And he said, if I had 4.5 million customers, I wouldn't have one store. I would have 4.5 million stores. And of course, the rest is history. And so what's new about continuous revenue marketing is understanding the need to constantly be communicating with our customers in high personalized, meaningful, relevant, and trusted methodologies that have never been possible before, because our customers are empowered. They are always on. They are in charge of the search and purchase process. Just 20 years ago, we didn't have an internet, and it was a very one-way communication between brand and customer, where the brand was trying to manage the customer, manage the relationship. But consumers, they don't want to be managed. They want to build relationships. They trust brands for what they bring. But more importantly is they are just awake and alive, and you never know when they're looking. And so for us to continuously drive revenue, we have to continuously market, because the world basically never sleeps.
Yeah, you really touched on something really interesting there on management. So what do you feel the difference is between continuous revenue marketing and, say, the term CRM?
So if you indulge me again, let's do just a quick history lesson about CRM. Okay. And you and I covered this, which is in the 30s, Franklin Delaware Roosevelt's campaign manager created a thing called the Finley file, which was a list of donors that he gave to FDR to make sure he always remembered the name of an individual who was a donor. Okay, so there was the first piece of where we are. Then in the as you go forward into the 70s, we started to realize that we as marketers needed to remember who our customers were and treat them with high specialty. Around in the 80s, we had databases start to come alive. And a guy named Keschenbaum created database marketing where we were able to have all this information about a customer and we could manage or send communication to them to help guide them and direct them and push them in our direction. Because we, as the marketer, were the pusher, the interrupter. And then around 1997, IBM and Gartner and Siebel determined and coined the phrase CRM, customer relationship management, where you were managing the sales relationship, the customer relationship through automated software, through ERP systems, and that became the term. What is different with continuous revenue marketing is we are not managing relationships. What we are doing is we are using data and predictive analytics and high creativity and signals coming from all over the internet and behaviors, and then turning those into unique, personalized one-to-one relationships as if it was walking into the store of 100 years ago. And so we're not managing, we're creating and building experiences that are built on trust, but are unforgettable, like the experience I just had at the store, that makes a customer want to do business and stay with you as a loyal customer, of which the net effect is new acquisition, new first purchase, second purchase, third purchase, referral, and advocacy. And that's what really the purpose of a business is to create customer relationships that are ever sustaining.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, which I think is a really important topic for us to kind of dive into on our next episode, because I think it's important that all grandmasters understand the history of marketing, which you're so great at teaching, but really like to focus on where we're going. And I think that's just a great place to pick up on our next episode.
Yeah, I look forward to our next episode. We're going to start to cover why is this so important? What is the difference? What are the results marketers have seen by using personalized marketing methodologies and continuous bimodal methodologies? We're going to talk about the challenges that the marketers are facing. So the next episode, we're leaving the history and coming to the present and talking about what's happening, and we'll talk about successes. So I hope everyone will join us on our next episode. On behalf of Elliot and myself, we want to thank you for joining us today. I'm Russell Kern.
The Continuous Revenue Marketer has been brought to you by Kern, an Omnicom precision marketing agency that helps Fortune 500 companies increase revenue from customer acquisition to loyalty through personalization at speed and scale. For more information, please visit kernagency.com.